So it is July 18th, 2021, and a few days ago, as a lot of you may know, and if you don't know, Tesla released finally the full self-driving subscription service. Two options. For most, if you have the included autopilot, so basically there's a basic version of autopilot with all cars. It's $200 a month or $199 a month plus tax to give you full self-driving. And what that actually means is you get a suite of full self-driving features, and when the actual full self-driving comes out, whether in beta for wide release or when it actually comes out, you'll get that too. Some users, for the older models and a few years ago, and even for a period of time last year, there was a enhanced autopilot. That was about a $5,000 upgrade. It varies year by year, model by model, but essentially it gave you all these little full self-driving features without the full self-driving, which everyone knows is you get in the car, you really have to do very little to zero input. The car drives you to your destination, and that wasn't ready yet. It hasn't been ready. We've been expecting it for years, but it gave you some other things where if you have that enhanced autopilot, it's only a $99 a month upgrade. So I purchased the subscription because it is a month to month, so you can actually subscribe and pay by month and cancel anytime, which is generous. They don't have a contract, and I think time will tell if Tesla locks people into a contract or has a minimum commitment depending on the churn rate, which is how many people will cancel month over month. And if too many people cancel, they may realize, like, hey, this isn't bringing in as much money as we thought. We may have to lock people into a minimum amount of time. But in general, this is a great move. Many people were not happy about paying $10,000 or $5,000 or $7,000 for full self-driving years ago, never really getting that promise. It was a lot of delays, and when they're ready to buy a new car, you can't transfer it to the new car. So a subscription kind of alleviates that, since you can cancel it, restart it on the new car. But for those that have already invested that money, it's, only time will tell, and it's about a 5-6 year payback really on the features. I bought this because right now we're on a road trip, 6 hours from San Diego to Arizona, and the included autopilot, which I'm on right now, you can tell that I have the full self-driving subscription because there's a button here that says navigate on autopilot, which is one of the included features with the $199 a month subscription. I really just want to change lanes without disengaging autopilot. Road trips are incredible. It's so much more relaxing and less energy drain on your eyes, on your mind. And right now, so I'm behind. I have my max speed at 75. I'm going 68 because of this car in front. And normally I'd have to put the blinker on, disengage autopilot, and re-engage it. But with this version, I can hit the stalk and change lanes. So I can do a soft lane change, just barely touch it, and that won't actually engage it. So to fully change the lane, you have to do a full, and then right there, it's very aggressive. There's actually a couple settings on how aggressive you want the car to change the lane, but right there, that alone, that feature, which they call auto lane change, is quite valuable to me on a long road trip. Autopilot is still engaged, and I can manually input the stock up or down to change lanes left or right, and the aggressiveness of that lane change you can edit in the settings. So that alone is a feature that I would actually pay for. The other stuff is pretty good, little gimmicky, and what I mean by that the other features you'll get with the full self-driving subscription, so you saw that's called auto lane change, and I'll do a bunch of videos that'll like deep dive into each one of those features so that you can see them one by one. The second feature is navigate on autopilot, so I'll get into that, but essentially that's kind of closer to full self-driving, where depending on your destination, it'll overtake. There's a couple settings you can do, but generally it'll actually change lanes for you, it'll exit for you, it'll put the blinker on for you, and really kind of just drive you on the trip without any inputs if you don't want, and you can just do confirmation and actually have it engage every time you engage autopilot. But navigate on autopilot's kind of like taking that step further of, I will change lanes on your behalf, I will exit on your behalf, and it's quite interesting. But it's actually, there's some annoying things that I'll get into in that deep dive video. The third item is summon, which is on the app. You can actually make the car go forward and back with manual input. So it's almost like driving the car forward or back. Think about that as showing it off because it looks crazy. Or two, in real life use case, is you're in a tight parking spot and you need to pull the car out to make it easier for a guest or yourself to get in, and rather than squeezing into the car, you can just use the app as a remote and make the car reverse or go forward. Or maybe you park too far away, and rather than getting back into the car, assuming it's a straight area, to kind of inch forward or inch back, you can actually just use the app, which is great. And then there's another item that's part of Summon that's called Smart Summon. You can see these features on Tesla's site. Smart Summon will actually, on private land, on private property, not on public roads. So, for example, like a parking lot, you can actually request the car, it'll know your location, and it'll drive from where the car is parked to your location within a certain radius. And there are settings that we'll dive deeper in that video on how close do you want it to get to objects and vehicles, like how comfortable you are. And that's all these features are in beta because they want to make sure you're supervising it. And that actually works like surprisingly well. It's a little nerve-wracking, at least I've only used it a few times, so we'll get more into that video. But Summon is another feature that it comes with, and there's actual use cases there. If it's like terrible weather between where you are and where the car is parked, it could save you some time. And then the other item it comes with is auto stopping and being aware of traffic lights and stop signs. So if you are on autopilot on streets and a light is coming up with the included, it's not on this freeway, but if we were coming up and there was a light, you would see it on the visual, but the car won't stop. You actually have to hit on the brake. But with the included full self-driving features with the subscription, or if you pay for it, it will actually slow down for every light or stop sign. And so that way you could actually just leave autopilot engaged, and it would be aware of traffic lights and help you navigate that. So that's another feature as well. Auto Park is the final feature that you get with the subscription, and that's mainly meant for, and we'll get into that in that video, it's just kind of navigating, reversing into spaces or parallel parking. You have to position the car in a certain way and engage a couple of things, but I haven't used that yet, but I'll use it once, of course, that we get into the video. That'll be the first time I use it. So stay tuned for those updates. But in general, my takeaways is I'm subscribing them for this. I'll pay the $199, which actually when you subscribe, they don't bill you right away. So it's the 18th. I actually subscribed yesterday, the 17th, and it says your next auto bill will be in August 16th. So if I canceled right now, it'll actually let me continue to use the functionality and will bill me on August 16th. And so that's just something to be aware of. We've got a few long road trips over the next month. So to me, it's worth experimenting because I really, really only wanted the auto lane change. I wish that we could pay for that on its own. And honestly, because they are splitting out, so the full self-driving is $199, basically from zero for the included autopilot. So all the cars that are being built now include autopilot. You pay $199. But for those with enhanced autopilot, which comes with all the functionality I just mentioned, the navigate, the auto park, the summon, the light awareness, the full self-driving, which really isn't out yet, there'll be a wide beta in a month or two, is $99 a month. So that tells me Tesla is valuing the enhanced autopilot with all the features you basically get for the $199. They're valuing that at about half that. It's about $99 a month, but you can't actually purchase just those features. I would actually buy that for $99 a month. I think a lot of other people would buy the enhanced autopilot. It's really a trust thing. So once full self-driving really comes out, it's still going to be in a beta. You can't just ignore the car. You have to be very aware. And you know, is that worth the $200? Time will tell. The market will dictate that. But I do think a $99 a month for just the enhanced features, or honestly just the auto lane change, I would pay $50 a month, maybe $15 a month if they could break out the functionality more, because that is just something that is just kind of an annoyance, and they're kind of locking that behind. There's like a paywall to get by that annoyance on a long road trip, which is changing lanes without disengaging autopilot, which happens quite frequently. So we'll get into the nuances of each of the features and the settings, so stay tuned for that. But for now, this road trip is the first one since I made the purchase. I can tell you, navigate on autopilot, not as helpful as I thought it might be, but the auto lane change has been awesome, and it's just something that I think is worth it for if they had it broken out in its own feature. But the $199, at least for the next month, will give us some fun. So talk to you all soon, and the other content that's going to break down each feature individually. Take care.